Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
America, America, America.
Tonight, Tuesday, the World Baseball Classic Championship game between the United States of America and Japan. It's Mike Trout versus Shohei Ohtani. It's the Statue of Liberty versus Ben Verlander. It's one of the most anticipated heavyweight bouts of all time. It could be, Joe. It could be the most watched baseball game in the history of all recorded history. Japan and America going head to head in the championship game tonight. It is arguably the most anticipated matchup in baseball history.
Is this? Jared, I said this last night. The WBC is in the fucking driver's seat, is the catalyst. This is the party starter. When you're looking for where the fire came from, look no further than the WBC, because baseball is burning this bitch down right now. And the WBC is what is driving all of it. Why are you excited about baseball? Because of the WBC. Why are you locked in on Japan right now? Because of the WBC. Why do you care about guys getting signed after their outings? Because of the WBC. That's what has got you locked the fuck in, feeling like Game 7 is beating down your door in March because of the WBC. Can I get an amen?
Hey, man. Yeah, you can, Dallas. Yes, you can. All the people that were saying that these games are meaningless, fuck you. Fuck you. Last night, Japan walks it off. That video clip had over 11 million views in 1 hour. 1 hour. Baseball, our great game. It is the World Baseball Classic, not the American Baseball Classic. It is the World Baseball Classic. And tonight, the world is going to see two juggernaut baseball programs going head to head. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about right here. The big guns are coming in on the biggest stage. Joe, how many viewers do you think that this game is going to get tonight, if you had to guess, because you're paying attention to this pretty heavily?
That's a fucking good question. If I'm being honest, like I would say, listen, the practice game 3 weeks ago, a month ago, it feels like forever ago, got 36 million viewers. The game against Korea, Japan got 62.5 million, which beat the record, I think, ever, maybe. I mean, the most watched World Series, 54.5. The most watched WBC game was 60 million. Korea got 62.5 million. I think, if I'm being honest, I think last night, not to burst anyone's bubble, I think last night was probably the most watched game of all time. And
I was going to say that.
Because the problem is, like, these games are happening at 8 a.m. in Japan. So that's going to, hurt a little bit. Yesterday was like a Japanese holiday, so they had it off. So that, along with it being the semi, like last night was probably 70 plus million. Tonight, who the fuck knows?
8 a.m. I feel like folks are cranking over there at 8 a.m. Like, 8 a.m. It's fucking go time. We are, school's getting canceled, or at least they're wheeling out the fucking TV on the dolly, and we're doing this. You know what I mean? This is what's going on in math class today. We're watching fucking Sasaki blow shundos. That's what we're doing today.
I mean, it's a different level in Japan. It's like the dream team, or like the 04 Sox, like the 27 Yankees. Like, this team in Japan is like just historical, but instead of just representing one city, it's the entire country. So like, it's crazy. The magnitude is insane.
The world, this is baseball's and we're watching this happen right before our very eyes. The game is, we're watching the video, the time-elapsed version of baseball, like crawl out of the primordial ooze and develop into baseball erectus, that sexy bitch we see walking around the street today, the one we know and love so much, baseball erectus. We have watched it develop. And all of these countries, all of these nations that have baseball as their sport, their cornerstone when it comes to international athletics and international competition, that's what is driving this. The players' buy-in to this event is what is driving this. And I think the nations that do have baseball leading the charge in their athletic front, they deserve a huge round of applause. And I can't, it's going to happen every year, and I'm okay with it, and I love it. But every year you just find people that are like, oh, wow, I never realized international baseball was this fucking cool. I've heard people talk about winter ball. I didn't. And it's like, yes, this is what's happening. So shout out to the Venezuelas, to the Mexicos, to the Koreas, to the Israels, to all these clubs, all these nations that are just, man, such a huge player in why this thing is taking off.
One more thing about the viewership numbers is like all those fucking insane numbers out of Japan. That is just Japan, first of all. And that's just like cable television. And all these games are on streaming services. They're like on Amazon Prime in Japan. And who knows what that is if you add those into it. But those aren't even accounted for.
Would it be safe to say that there's more cord cutters in Japan than there are stateside?
I don't know,
Joe,
but
is it
there's a fucking lot everywhere.
Like streaming, like I mean, when I was in Japan in 2008, they were selling TVs that rolled up. You know what I mean, like yoga mats. So, like, I don't know if streaming was even a thing back then, but I got to believe that they were streaming shit back then. So, like, they're just so fucking far beyond what we got. They're 15 years ahead of what we were even wrapping our head around.
There's some streamers.
There are some streamers over there. It is something that has absolutely blown my mind. Like these numbers, like I just saw Japan versus Italy did like 62.5 million or something like that. So I'm curious to see what Japan Mexico did for numbers. Like obviously the whole holiday thing factors in, but baseball is so big in Japan that Japan being in the championship game must be a holiday in Japan. Like I feel like the whole country is just going to shut down tonight or the morning for what time it is there. Like they're going to shut down and be like, you know what? I understand that you guys need medical attention, but this hospital is officially closed because Shohei Ohtani is coming out of the bullpen to face Mike Trout. So you're going to have to plug that hole in your neck by yourself.
I'm telling you right now, like the best way that I could describe the impact and the presence, the role that baseball plays in Japan is give me your most podunk, most tribal, most just rabid Texas high school town. That is the entire nation of Japan when it comes to baseball. How that Texas town reveres high school football, that's how the entire nation is when it comes to baseball.
Listen to this call. This was the Japanese broadcast for last night's walk-off against Mexico.
Oh, my grandma stood up and started clapping when I played this for her. Stood up and was clapping, just listening to my phone.
I mean, they're excited for their team. They're excited for their team. And I mean, I don't even know, like, what is the best, what's best for baseball? Because I feel like if Japan wins tonight, is that better for baseball than if the United States wins? I'm not saying I'm rooting against the United States, but everyone's argument, and people forget Shohei grew up with Kevin Clancy, KFC, so he knows him just as well as I do, if not substantially better. He doesn't believe what he's saying. If the argument was people in America don't care about the World Baseball Classic, then yeah, like you could stick to that and say, yeah, like it doesn't, like that's an objective fact. It does not mean as much to American sports fans as it does to Venezuelan, Japanese, Puerto Rican, Mexican, all these other countries. Like people are watching March Madness and they just don't like baseball. Like they're not invested in the same way that these other countries are. That's a fair take. Some people do, like the baseball fans in America that truly love baseball. They're invested in this tournament. Like I showed you the numbers on Twitter the other day. Like Trey Turner's Grand Slam more than doubled all the most viral moments from Major League Baseball last year. Like it had 7 million views compared to like Aaron Judge's 60-second home run had like 2 million. And then you had Albert Pujols' 700th home run. Like it wasn't even the same stratosphere. The dugout shot of Dusty Baker winning his first World Series as a manager, like all these huge moments weren't even fucking close to Trey Turner's Grand Slam for the United States. And that's not to say that like, I don't know, like Major League, like that's what people are trying to make it like a MLB versus a WBC thing. Like, no, like that was never my angle, at least. Like I was never trying to say, damn, WBC is so much better than MLB. That's not what I'm trying to say. All I was trying to say was that way more people care than some individuals like Kevin were letting on.
I think it's actually I want to hear what Jay says since he knows KFC.
Well, specific to the KFC thing, I think it's the sort of take that you can have and grind into and be more and more wrong about only if you've recently gotten cashed out at a company and don't have to answer for takes like these anymore. That's my main take. That seems to be what it is, because the longer this tournament goes on, the worse that take would be. And the worse that any take related to the WBC not being a success, it's getting worse and worse because we now have as you guys alluded to, we now have the marquee matchup that everybody wanted to start the tournament in the finals. We have the potential for, two of the biggest stars in baseball worldwide, baseball as a major league construct going head to head. I think it's, to go back to what Jared asked, I'm kind of interested in like, is the U.S. winning? Like there's obviously an element that's good about the U.S. winning no matter what, but like in terms of getting increased future participation, getting some of the best pitchers to participate, making this thing like more of a success than it has even been this year in the United States. Is it better for the U.S. to win? Or is it better for the U.S. to come up a little bit short and be like,
absolutely,
we got to come back in 2026 and be like,
no,
I think it's better for them to lose. Dallas, look at that roster from 2017. They did not have good pitching, and they won the whole fucking thing. If they go back to back, and the whole narrative is their pitching sucks. Why, if I'm a stud pitcher and USA goes back to back with dog shit starting pitching, why am I like, you know what? I need to step the fuck up.
I'm telling you why. And Adam Wainwright told you why. And we're acting like, again, what I said last time. We can't. I'm with you. I would love to just remove my brain and go, money's not a factor. The insurance and injury likelihood and protection is not a factor.
So your take on the money situation is that it's never going to change. That's fundamentally what you're saying. Okay. So we're
absolutely
okay.
So we're never going, like, we're not moving beyond what's reality. Like that's a la land that you're living in, where Jacob deGrom is pitching for the WBC, because the conversation that has to happen for that to be a thing is, no, Texas, I'm going to do this, and I'm okay with running the risk of blah, 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 blah. And all the money that is guaranteed is now up in the air should X, Y, and Z occur because WBC, blah, blah, blah. So there's all that language that has to be sifted through and worked out before a guy like him, a guy like Garrett Cole, or a guy like Justin Verlander coming off the second TJ, who just got breaded up again at age 40 for another championship run, are ever going to be in a position to sign up and play baseball for this team. So until we just make peace with that, you can have those conversations that you're trying to have. But if we understand that that's the reality, and I want to welcome you into reality, then you have to get beyond hoping that ever changes and just be happy the day that it does change.
Okay, so
Because that's the day you go look the fuck out, because now guess who's signed up?
so does
Is
that?
all those Cy Young motherfuckers.
I don't really care whether the tournament is more popular outside of the United States than it is inside the United States. Like, I don't really.
Neither do I.
I don't really understand why that's a problem. If it was more popular inside the United States and a complete non-event outside of the United States, would that make anybody feel better about the current and future success of the tournament? I feel better about it being the way that it is right now, and that it's incumbent upon the United States to raise their excitement level or not. I mean, it's already a success. So you could or could not, but you're going to be getting an incredible amount of investment, of viewers, of potential future growth from every other country that's participating. And I think that's just as, if not more important than what's happening internally here in the US. But does that, if we're acknowledging that what Dallas is saying is correct, that the if not the specific names, then the overall quality of the pitching that is on the 2027 or 2017 and 2023 rosters, if that's as good as it gets for the United States and they roll out great lineups and sometimes they win and sometimes they lose, does that cap like the potential excitement level here in the States if we're never getting the aces that people want to see?
No,
Yeah.
and here's why. Because the day that Jacob deGrom or a Garrett Cole type guy says, fuck it, throws that kind of caution to the wind, is the day that people are in the fucking street going, all right, you son of a bitch, now we got the assassins lined up. Now we got the snipers in the nest. What the fuck's popping now? Now we got you think you motherfuckers are going to score? Yeah, we let you get excited about the idea that you could compete with us. And now we're bringing the fucking A squad. This isn't a fucking split squad travel game to Peoria where you're getting the one big league starter and the 17 A-ball guys backing shit up. That's not what's popping here. You're getting fed a bunch of fucking animals. I'm pouring straight fucking gasoline down your neck from the first pitch. That is what will get it going. And until that day comes, like I've told you, we can't live in a world where we're praying that it's just going to pop up and be a thing, because it ain't. It just ain't.
Can I say?
And I'm with Jay Hay here. Like I think the other countries valuing it as much as they do, that's what gets me excited, because these are the other countries who care about the game way fucking more than we do. Who, when you're talking about the respect of your peers and how you're measuring yourself against other people, I want to measure myself against the nations who eat, sleep, and breathe this shit. That's who I want to measure myself against.
And I got to say, just last thing, and I'll lay out on this topic. Anecdotally, I am getting more text messages and more casual conversation mentions of like Murakami and Roki Sasaki while those games are going on than I ever have about any spring training performance from any Major League Baseball player in as long as I can remember. Like my friends who are not even into baseball are hitting that. My brother was watching the game last night and texting me like relentlessly about Sasaki and stuff like that. Dude, I don't know how you quantify that. Obviously, there are social media metrics and stuff like that, but just the level of conversation that is being generated about some of these people, as we know, aren't even coming over to the United States for several seasons. I just think it's we can debate about what the future growth potential is, but we're so far beyond the threshold of what this needed to be a success. Like it's
oh god,
a massive.
Think about this. So to your point about that, like I did the same exact thing. I was breaking it down for a buddy of mine, like who Sasaki is. I was like, do you understand that this is a dude who at one point in time had thrown 17 perfect innings, like almost 2 perfect games back to back. All right.
His perfect game he had a 19
punch-outs.
strikeout perfect
Jared,
game.
How about this though? How about this? Let's go one step further.
Fucking barely drink legally in the United States.
Let's go one step further. All right. Get your fucking buddy. Start your timer, because 4 hours is about to go off for you as well. Kerry Wood, 20 punch out game score, a la Mr. William James, 105.
Yeah.
Sasaki's perfect game score, 106. The highest.
So it's the best game ever pitched.
Ever.
Yeah,
Best game ever pitched ever.
Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game. He gave up 1 hit, didn't walk anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, Sasaki punched out 19. He had he had 13 punch outs in a row. In a row.
I mean, you can see why. I mean, like, so I was at my parents' last night for the first couple innings of the game, and I was like, "Hey, can you put the game on? We flip it on." And like, my dad knows Yu Darvish, he knows Shohei Ohtani. He's like, "Who's pitching?" I was like, he hadn't thrown a pitch yet. I was like, just fucking wait. I was like, he was talking about his build. He's like, he compared him to Ron Guidry. I was like, he's built like Ron Guidry. And I was like, Dad, just wait. Just wait for him to throw a single fucking pitch. And then the first AB, he's fucking chucking 102. I was like, yeah, 102. Ron Guidry don't have that in the tank. Like, all due respect. I mean, Ron Guidry's no slapstick, but he's not pumping the 102 with 93 mile an hour splitter.
20. How many fucking 20 some odd fastballs? 20 plus fastballs he threw at 100 plus miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the kind of
the only thing that wasn't 100 were his off speed.
Yeah, well, and some of those are fucking 90 plus. I mean, it's just that's the kind of stupid shit that is going on during this tournament. And just to echo what Jay said, I had multiple guys who were like, yo, is this fucking Sasaki dude? Like, so when's this dude coming over? Is this like Ohtani 2.0? And I'm like, buddy, he doesn't hit. He's just blowing 102 miles an hour. He's got a fucking wipeout split. And they're like, do they? And then from there, like the conversation was like, my buddy was like, should I be watching the fucking Korean leagues and the Japan leagues? Like, are there stars over there that I'm not going to know about for a while, but I could get a head start on? And then, like, I kid you not, my other buddy in the group chat is like, yo, is there any way we can incorporate Japan League players to our fantasy league? Like, if we do guy, calm the fuck down. You know what I mean? I got these dudes.
If you have like a prospect draft, you should be able to draft Sasaki.
Well, that's but the whole, like, the zoom out conversation is I've got dudes in the hood who are talking about the Nippon League and whether or not they can draft these guys on their fucking fantasy league.
The system. Yeah.
Right. Like, that's the kind of shit that's going on.
Yeah. But I think, so the whole conversation around Sasaki was, when is this guy coming over here? Wait, first, let me get we've been cooking for a second. Let me get a read in here. The biggest tournament in college basketball is underway, and the action is just getting started on the DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any pregame moneyline bet and score $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. Plus, combine multiple bets for a shot at an even bigger payout. DraftKings will be featuring parlays and odds boosts all tournament long. So be sure to check the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day to see what they have in store. Dallas, you throwing down any scratch on March Madness?
No, sure haven't. Nope.
Yeah, I haven't. I'll be honest, I haven't watched a single second of March Madness.
No, I'm balls in on the WBC, dude. Come on.
Yeah, same. We got to get these ad reads to cater to fucking World Baseball Classic. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code Jared, Jared. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any pregame moneyline bet and get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code Jared. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details. So the whole thing about Sasaki, people were asking, when's this fucking guy coming to the majors? So similarly to Shohei Ohtani, Shohei was just like, I want to play in the big leagues. Shohei, if he had waited, I believe it was like 2-3 years, something like that, then he could have just gotten a fat contract to come to the United States like Masataka Yoshida just did with the Boston Red Sox. You do the posting fee, get $100 million. I mean, Shohei definitely would have gotten more than what Yoshida got, but similarly to how Yoshida came over, he had to wait, and then he was posted. Team pays a posting fee. They signed the player to a massive contract as if he were a major league free agent. In this case, I believe it's 2026.
Yeah.
He'll have to wait until after the 2026 season if he wants to come over the same way that Yoshida did, where he can get paid as if he's a major league free agent, or he can opt to come to the big leagues and go through his 6 years service time, 3 years of arbitration, and he would have to essentially be on like a rookie contract.
But
he can do it.
But wouldn't the team have to agree to that? Like, it's kind of up to the team to even say you can or can't. Pretty sure.
The team in Japan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. So
he's going to pitch in the WBC before he pitches in the major leagues, probably 2026.
Uh-huh.
It's crazy, dude. Crazy.
Isn't that what happened with Darvish? Was Darvish pitched for Japan in 2009?
And 6. I think he pitched in both.
But I'm saying like he parlayed his most recent WBC appearance into a big league contract.
Well, that's kind of what I mean. That's the beauty.
Dice K in 06, and then he turned that into a contract in 07. Yeah,
and that's the beauty of this tournament as well for players like that in positions like this is you get to put, because the conversation's always, well, what is this league comparatively speaking to Major League Baseball talent level wise, right? And the gap is closing. There's still a gap. Let's not kid ourselves. There's still a gap, but the gap is closing between the Nippon League and the major leagues in terms of prospect viability and the ability for guys to come over and have an impact and not just be absolutely in over their head. That's how it was 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It's not how it is these days. It's just, I don't know, man. I think watching these games has done a number of things for people, just the way they process what sort of opportunity this gives guys to watch guys get signed and to watch guys be able to use this as a platform year against talent that they're going to be competing against or hopefully competing against. This is ideal. You're paying me based on these guys that I'm going to be competing against. Let's see how I do. And Sasaki, 1-0 Sasaki.
Yeah, think about that. They have Sasaki. They have Murakami, who just hit the fucking home run record in Japan. He's 23.
He's 23.
Yeah. And then who was the guy who came after Sasaki was like just as nasty. He won the Triple Crown for pitching like 4 years in a row. Like these guys
he's won a Cy Young back to back, right?
Yeah. And then
what's that called? The Sawamura? Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah.
Ooh,
and they don't even give it out. Some years they just don't hand the award out because there's nobody worth a fuck.
That's crazy. You know what? I like that.
I love it.
I like
that's
that.
It. But see, so like again, I hate to go off.
We cannot give the BBWAA that sort of power. Do you know how spiteful? Do you know how spiteful and bitter they would be with that sort of? No. That would be a disaster.
But Jay, so
2020 they wouldn't have given out the award.
But that right there, those two things. So and then how about the home run ball that Shohei hit, right? That gets passed around. Everybody takes a picture with it in the stands, and then the ball politely finds its way back to the original owner. All right. And those are just cultural differences right there. Just cultural differences in how the game is revered, what it means to these people. Like, oh, who's the Cy Young? Oh, well, some guy with not firing any arrows here, Jared, but what year? Pretty Ricky?
2016. He was a 21 game winner, so suck my fucking dick, dude.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What do you mean? Well, he won the Cy Young with the most second place votes ever for like a Cy Young winner. I don't know what was going on there, but it was
just funky. Like, I'm not saying at all.
Voters were almost voting against Justin Verlander more than they were voting for Rick Porcello.
Yeah. Right. So what I'm getting at is it's not that Rick didn't deserve the award. What I'm saying is if this were Japan.
That is kind of what you just said.
No, I'm saying if this were Japan, he's not getting the award.
Jake, did Dallas just say that fucking Rick Porcello didn't deserve the Cy Young Award in 2016?
No.
That's how I interpreted it.
That's exactly how I interpreted it as well, which is crazy because
both fucking ignorant.
Dude is a World Series champ and a 21 game winner, 22 game winner. He's 22. Because I remember back before Twitter started to get all fucking strict about like music rights and shit. I made like a highlight reel of Rick Porcello pitching and put it to that Taylor Swift song. I feel 22. That song. Because he won his 22nd.
This is great because your music you've cut out.
I don't care. It's still recorded on my end. Continue. Grow up.
Well, we didn't hear it.
The
Wanna do
fans
it
got
again?
the fans got to hear it. Let's
Fans
one more
got to
time.
hear it.
One more time.
One more time.
Nope.
Come on.
Come on.
Continue. Continue.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I'll tell you. I'll continue with how fucking sick.
No, I was just saying
Japan
that he's not getting the award. If they're handing that year's Cy Young award out in Japan, he's not getting it.
Well, it's like
But that's
it like kind of, I feel like this is breaking people's minds. My mind too. Like I didn't realize like how good the MPB was. You know, like there's only 7 Japanese major leaguers. And I think for most American fans, we think like, okay, there's only 7 people in Japan good enough to play Major League Baseball. But
No.
only 4 of them got selected to this team. Or 3, maybe. Okay, Seiya. So 4.
Well,
Like
no, yeah,
every
we
single
got-
guy
I mean-
on this team could be in the major leagues for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Fuji, our guy,
Fuji, not on the team.
not on the team, hanging out. AZ.
Hanging out. Senga, not on the team.
Senga, not on
Yeah.
the team.
Cody, well, he's been following the team, right? Like as
He was
as a
there.
fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tasugo.
I think
Kikuchi.
Fuji said that the atmosphere at A's camp is WBC esque. I think is what it was described as.
That's what he described.
I hope you I hope you hit a pothole today, and I hope one of the straps in your baby's car seat gets tangled, and you struggle mightily to untangle that.
Wow. Well, I am going grocery shopping afterwards, so I'll update you. Make sure I make it home safely.
Good.
Jeez. It's fucked up, Dallas. So with all that being said, it's already a win, regardless of what happens tonight, to circle back to that point.
Oh,
The tournament is already a win for the growth of the sport. I still kind of
let me think about this, Jared. Think about the guys that are cusp guys, fringe guys that are like praying to God that they get the
So,
invite,
here-
right?
Well,
Those
no,
are
no,
the guys who are going to be
I'm talking about the fan.
grinding.
I'm talking
fans.
about
I was talking about players.
So
like in their
here's
will to compete.
I want to make this point really quick. When we talk about growing the game, we talk about, and the rule changes too, specifically. We talk about trying to get people who don't care about baseball to care about baseball. You're not going to win that battle. Here's the crowd that I'm attacking with the grow the game movement, with the rule changes, with the World Baseball Classic, with the social media clips sharing. So I'll give you an example. During the pandemic, you had folks trapped in their houses with nothing to do, bored as fuck. So what did a lot of people do? They went in their attics and they found their old baseball cards. And then there was a baseball card boom. And we're still kind of riding that wave. And it
Oh, that's
started with the
huge.
pandemic. So that's the crowd that I want. Is I loved baseball as a kid. Then I, got my first serious job. Then I got married. Then I got kids, and just life changed. And I fell out of love with baseball. I just didn't have the time for it. It's 162 games. It's quite the commitment. It's trying to get the people who loved it and drifted away from it to come back. And I'll read this text. This is one of my buddies from high school. He texted me and he said, "Let me just say." What? What a weird thing to laugh at.
No, we
He
didn't. We
said, "Let
can't
me-"
hear you. We can't hear you. You cut out. I'm not hearing your words. So whatever I laughed at, I didn't hear words.
Okay. He said, "Let me just say, the World Baseball Classic is kind of working on me similar to how the World Cup got me into soccer. I've sort of been off baseball for like 5 to 10 years, but watching this is electric. It's better than the MLB. Maybe playoff baseball is comparable, but seeing these guys rooting for their teammates like it's the Little League World Series is amazing." So that's the crowd that I think we're targeting here. We're not trying to get the baseball is boring people that
No.
are obsessed and would suck Roger Goodell's cock clean if given the opportunity. I'm trying to get the people who loved baseball when they were younger and then drifted away and never came back. There are a lot of people like that. And I feel like with stuff like the World Baseball Classic, we can get those people back.
Oh, you reel him back in, and I would say, like, to that individual, I don't know if this is a homie of yours or
one of my best friends from like growing up. We played baseball together forever. We've been to tons of Red Sox games together.
So like, and so I'm sure he's probably tech savvy to a point where, you know, some of the things he's interested in, he's got alerts for on his phone or on his devices. Maybe I don't know, but that is honestly, and I'm not joking when I say this. I've talked about this. My grandmother and my wife have a relationship that I could only dream of having, that you can only hope two people have in that position. And I know that sounds weird to talk about right now, but they both have mentioned that me asking them to follow a team from each division in the game of baseball, along with their favorite team, and put the alerts on their phone, just so you guys know what's going on in my world, and we all come together there. And now my wife and my grandma talk about the WBC, talk about baseball, talk about the Pirates, and talk about the Cubs, and they talk about the A's. And it's just like reminding people of how great the game is. But I'm reminded every day because I watch a beautiful relationship take place. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't otherwise if it weren't for baseball. I'm saying baseball has played a big role in that. So if you got homies that are like, bro, I've been out on this shit for a hot minute, like, what do you got? Tell them, look, man, throw on some alerts, MLB.com, and see if that just kind of gets you going. If that helps you kind of get back into the vibe. I don't know.
Just start following the Pirates and the A's. You'll be hooked in no time, bro. Full proof.
That's actually a great point. Like, one of the most passionate advocates for the game of baseball is an A's and Pirates guy. How? This guy roots for the game Oakland is pure. A's and not just roots for them. This motherfucker follows them around the country and watches every single pitch.
That pirate shit.
The Oakland A's.
You made your bed with the pirate stuff. That was totally organic. That was totally a self-made problem.
That's okay, Jay. That's okay. I'm a masochist, but honestly, and I'll get a little emotional about this. Peel the curtain back a little. Like, sure, my team might not be experiencing that big pinnacle of success right now. Okay, so when I watch our game's stars gather and compete like this, and I've got something to invest in country-wise, America, I can back that. I can get on board with that. This means fucking everything to me. It means everything to me. And I'm just a washed up, has been, broken down, never was. And there's people that we are in love with on the baseball field that are showing you how much they love this. So for fans across the game whose team might not be coming out of the gate hot and the Pacoda projections might not favor them, the WBC, their national team, is something that they can fucking grab onto, something that they can rally around and get excited about. This game is so fucking beautiful, and is played so differently in so many different corners of the world. And to watch it all come together. Homeboy last night, 2-strike sack bunt, didn't even think fucking twice about giving him that sign. What the fuck? I've done this over 115 fucking times. This is what the textbook says. Give me that fucking bunt sign, Skip. I'll get the bitch down. And he did. And what did they do? They won the fucking game, Carrabis.
Shohei Ohtani!
Sugoi!
Yeah!
Yeah.
Just fucking epic. I mean, it was great. Sandoval. Are you fucking kidding me? Sasaki just chundoing people to death. Cheese biscuit, splitter, fuck your face. And now here comes Sandoval. Little slidro, little changeup, heater in off the dish, slidro, just spinning fucking magic up there, doing it differently, but getting it done. God damn, this game is great.
Well said, Dallas.
It is kind of sad. I wouldn't say it's sad because let's be honest, we were all rooting for fucking Japan last night. Let's all be honest. Everybody was.
Yeah.
The
That's
fact
no
that it
disrespect to
overshadowed Mexico,
though.
that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. Like all the
Like,
crazy
Mexico-
Randy and everything.
Mexico rinsed the United States 11-5. They eliminated Puerto Rico and then took Japan to the absolute limit. And they have absolutely nothing to hang their heads about. But of course, everyone was rooting for Japan. Everyone wants to see Shohei versus Trout. And you're not wrong for that. And but I mean, like, Mexico is obviously a great story. The Randy Arozarena show. Someone just sent me it was like a sports marketing guy sent me a DM and he was like, yeah, he quadrupled his like Instagram following during the World Baseball Classic. He made another outstanding catch. He robbed a home run and then just like he fucking posed and for like that shit's awesome. And then there was a pitching change not long after that and he's signing autographs standing in left field. That's
Beautiful.
That is fucking cool. So
Beautiful moment.
And Joe, can you not briefly, I mean, take as much time as you need. Can you run over that story about how Randy Arozarena, as a Cuban-born player, ended up on Team Mexico in the first place?
Yeah. Well, basically, he called the president. He went on Instagram because he's from Cuba.
What the fuck? How wild is that?
He's from Cuba, born in Cuba. You know, they got
Give me El Presidente on the phone.
Get him on the hook.
They're a little restrictive in Cuba. You can't really leave if you're from there under any circumstance. And he was like goated in Cuba, top player in their top league. But then they like, he's getting paid nothing, like $30 a month. He escapes, gets out of Cuba, goes to Mexico, doesn't know anybody, and he's just been living in Mexico. He made the roster in MLB. He's been a beast in MLB, but obviously we know that. But like, he tried out in Mexico. He was trying out for Mexican teams, like borrowing other players' equipment because he's no money. He snuck over there, made it in MLB, but every offseason he comes back to Mexico. Now his whole family's in Mexico. His wife is Mexican. His brother is a professional soccer player in Mexico. His mom lives there. So he lives in Mexico, but he's not a citizen. And I don't know if he's technically able to play for Mexico if you're not a citizen, or I forgot the rules. Like you have to be eligible for citizenship, but he had to become a national or a citizen in order to play. So he basically used that as like a bargaining tool. Like, yo, he went on Instagram. It was like, tell the president, I will play in the WBC if he lets me become a citizen. And the president, like 2 days later, was like, yeah, bro, for sure.
Yeah. We've been looking for a left fielder. So glad you called.
Easy. And then within a month, because he's been trying to become a citizen for years, because he's been in Mexico for, I think, like 5 or 6 years now. And so, like, that's all it took. Came a citizen, and that was less than a year ago. Now he's like the fucking hero of them. And the president's tweeting about it and shit. The president loves it. It's crazy.
Jared, hey, look, boys, there's no reason right now we can't get the president of India on the horn and just take up residence, guarantee him some innings, and say, look, let's fucking throw a squad together. All right.
What country do you think, if we got in the ear of their president or dictator or whatever, do you think we'd have the best shot of getting on their national baseball team?
Well, bro, I mean, I got comments on that thread I made. It was like, people were like, bro, Biden, let's just get Jordan a citizenship real quick and let's fucking dominate. Why not?
Imagine like presidents just become the general managers of the national baseball teams. They just start anointing citizenship to the best players. It's like, hey, you want to come play for Team Canada? All right, yeah. We're gonna make Shohei Ohtani Canadian. Sorry.
Well, so this is I don't want to, not necessarily a great segue per se, but we did have something happen that I think we all were kind of like, well, it's going to happen at some point in time. Just
how
not
are you
sure
tying this
when.
back to Alien Gonzalez?
No, I'm not. I'm not tying this back to Alien Gonzalez. Jesus Christ! My God! Oh my God, Jared! Alien Gonzalez. He was a Mariners fan, right? Anyway, Jesus. See, there you go. You got me.
Yeah, this guy is fucking high, fellas. This guy is under the influence of drugs.
Fuck. I just had something great
Search
to
your
say,
brain.
too.
What was
The
it?
defector, right?
Oh, yeah. The Cuban defector. You're talking
Yeah.
about, like, I mean, that's ultimately what old Fidel was doing. Like, hey, sorry, you're not going anywhere, bud. I need fucking outs out of you. Like, and I don't know I don't know how we're having this conversation. You're starting next week. You're not, no, political freedom and all, not happening. So, like,
Was Fidel
not
a big baseball guy? He had to have been.
yes.
Yeah.
Fidel?
Yeah.
Are you serious, dude?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
my
I've
God.
never seen him at a baseball game. I'm just asking.
Well, you're not serious right now, are you?
I'm sorry. I don't often watch Cuban international baseball
Yeah. Well,
outside of the World Baseball Classic.
Fidel was a big baseball guy, Jared.
Don't start talking about how much Fidel would have loved the World Baseball Classic, because we don't need to
Oh,
develop
no. It's
Fidel fans.
There's
No,
footage
it's
of
like-
him. There's footage of him
This guy-
loving the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, people talk a lot of shit about Fidel, but you know what? Like
As
that's
they
what
should.
got Ozzie Guillen fired.
yeah. What did?
Like loving Fidel. He's like, you know what? Fidel Castro is not so bad.
No, I don't think that's what Ozzy said. I think.
That is, I'm gonna Google that right now. Ozzie Guillen.
Yeah,
Fidel.
he
People
basically
turned on him.
it's because
Oh,
are
the
you
the
fucking,
Marlins suspended him.
yeah,
The Marlins suspended him.
They
buddy,
fired
the
him.
fucking
Oh, Dallas! It's way worse. It's way worse. He
I
said,
know.
"Quote: I love Fidel Castro.
Yeah, I know.
I respect Fidel Castro. You know why?
Right.
A lot of people have wanted to kill Fidel Castro for the last 60 years, but that motherfucker is still here.
Yeah, Jared, way worse. I was well aware of how
Way
bad
worse.
it was.
I didn't. I knew it was some sort of pro statement, but
No, and he said, and remember, he said that before ever managing a Game 4, after just having been named the manager of the Miami Marlins, whose
Yeah.
ballpark is in little fucking Havana.
correct. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that was a bad look. Like the Cuban population down there in Miami it's
Are
very,
you-
very strong.
Yeah,
definitely
I mean, he
can't.
would have been fucking dead.
Mhm.
But yeah. So Fidel was the GM, Jared. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. Fidel was the GM of the
Got it.
national baseball team.
Got it.
Yeah. So that was real, but that would be like, Russia doesn't have a team, but that would be like Fidel and Putin and Biden
Making a trade.
and what's the guy up north, Trudeau. That'd be like them all sitting
People
down to
love
like
that
work
guy,
out
right?
trades. What's that?
People love the Canadian guy.
It really, I guess, depends on whose lens you're looking at it through.
I thought that he had like an overwhelmingly positive
I don't think that's
approval
the
rating.
case anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, what did he do?
Well,
He's
he's starting doing.
the ebbs and flows of politics. I didn't come prepared to
getcha.
do a Trudeau deep dive, so I don't want to get into. I don't want to get into the nuts and
he's-
bolts, but
Starting doing fringe on civil liberties, Jared. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that. Absolutely cannot do that. I love how much Randy Rosarena hates Cuba. Like that is and I've
Well,
even
that-
there are some players, because this correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first World Baseball Classic where Cuban
Yes,
big
It's the
leaguers
first time
have been
it's happened.
allowed to play
Well-
for Cuba. So I had to ask a friend of mine who is Cuban but lives in the United States, and I was like, because I've talked to some players that could have played for Cuba, and they were not a proponent of playing for Cuba, like very much against doing so. But then
Yes.
you have someone like Yohan Moncada that's on Team Cuba, and it's like, well, because I was confused as to like, if you're from Cuba and you've defected, wouldn't it tell you like it's more like fuck Cuba? And like, why would you go back to play for the national team if you've defected from that country and you're trying to get away from them? Wouldn't you fear for your life almost?
Sure, but and I can't speak for these individuals because they have undergone levels of persecution that I can't wrap my head around, and I'm not even going to pretend to be able to do so. But I think there at some point is a compartmentalization of feeling politically persecuted and then wanting to show your national pride. Being Cuban is something to be extremely proud of. Being politically persecuted is something you hope the world understands about you. But aside from that, that isn't who you are. You are a proud people, and you're a part of a proud people. And that means something to you. So you want to show up and show out for those folks, these people that you represent, the people that are still smashing the 1956 hoopty, driving up and down the boulevard as a taxi driver, the folks who are on, they're the state equivalent to food stamps. These are the people you're putting the uniform on for, not the motherfucker telling you that you can't get on the airplane and go home, not the guy telling you that you can't get on the airplane and go on vacation or whatever. That's not who you're playing for. You're playing for the folks who bleed and sweat in the factories, in the fields, and in your neighborhood each and every day. That's
Can they
who you're playing
Can they even watch these games? Like, I don't think they have the internet in Cuba.
Dude, they're watching.
I think like they slowly started to roll out the internet in Cuba, but like they very much control what you can and can't see on it. Like they have like parental guides, but it's like Cuban guides on there.
When we lifted the sanctions or whatever, where we could start traveling to Cuba, that's when things started to, they tried to clean up the facade.
But you need to, if you're an American citizen to go to Cuba, you basically need like a written note. You need to, it's either like religious reasons, family reasons, or whatever. But like obviously tourism is one of their biggest generators of money. But like,
you just enter
need
through.
To give them a reason. Oh yeah, educational. Like it's like, I want to learn more about Cuba. I don't just want to get drunk on a beach somewhere.
Yeah, you got to enter. You just enter through a different country. That's all. You just can't enter from America. Or that's
I think
at least,
you can. You can now.
But
that thing where you have to like say the list of things. Like it's either educational,
when I went over there, you could
family.
not. It was illegal for Americans.
I feel like it's rather recent that you can do that. But yeah, no, the Cuban team's bullpen catcher defected after the beatdown that the United States gave to Cuba the other night.
Yeah, like is that the equivalent of homeboy fucking quitting at halftime on his team in the NFL? Like, I'm fucking out, dog. This shit is way like, nope, not. I'm done.
I'm kind of glad that I didn't tweet it because it ended up being, I think, bruised. They said he might have bruised ribs. They didn't even know, but like Yohan Moncada, like that didn't look like that bad of a collision. I thought he was like, it's 14-2. Like I'm done playing this fucking game. Like I thought he just absolutely. WWE sold that collision and was like, oh fuck, I can't play anymore.
Well, dude, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, dude, what if a Cuban pitcher came up there down 13 and was just like, all right, or someone just strikes out and just goes to Team USA's dugout? Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Imagine this. Say we're all on Team Cuba, all right, and I defected. And I've been in the big leagues for 4 or 5 years over here. I signed myself a nice, tidy little $40-50 million piece. And you guys were homies. A couple of us are even from the same town back home. And I take you guys out, WBC style. We're having lavish dinners. We're enjoying ourselves. And then I'm like, all right, boys. So I'm going back. I'm going to go back to Miami. And you guys are, you're gonna go back to Cuba now.
Y'all have fun
and you have a good time. All right, I love you, man. I love this. Has been fucking awesome. And like, don't look at what we've just done here the past 2 weeks and feel like this is any reason for you to leave that situation behind. Like, don't do that. I don't want you to get in your own head. It's like, fuck, what would you do?
Yeah. Well, I think the big problem is, or the reason why that didn't happen as much, is because all those guys who are playing for Cuba are either like signed in Japan, signed in Korea, or play in Mexico. They're all under pro contracts, just not in the US. So even if they came to the US, I don't think they could just sign to an MLB team because they're still under contract. And then those, like, if you go, you can't just go back. You can't defect to the US as a Cuban and then go play in Japan. They'll probably extradite your ass back to Cuba.
You know what I've been seeing a lot of in this tournament is after the United States or Japan just pisses on another team, they all want pictures with Shohei and Trout after. Because the Cuban team, I saw like one of the Cuban players stopped Trout in one of the hallways, and he's like taking pictures with them. And I've seen after every team that Japan has beaten, because they've beaten all of them, I've seen Shohei take selfies and pictures with the players that he just beat.
Shohei got off the airplane wearing a
Czech Republic hat.
Yeah, Czech hat.
Yeah.
I mean, like, just that's
He's just having fun. The electrician got his ass, dude. The electrician going 79 miles per hour struck him out. They had to do a photo op afterwards.
If I could have a baseball card, it would be Shohei Ohtani wearing the Czech hat. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, how cool is that, though? Like, that is, like, back to that text that I read. That's like Little League World Series vibes, where it's like, like, I'm beating your ass, but like, I'm a fan of you too, bro. Like, this is sick. Now we can be friends. It's the polar opposite of like Kobe Bryant's killer instinct of like, yeah, we can be friends off the court, but when we're competing against each other, it's fuck you forever. And Shohei is just like, no, you're my friend, and I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like, he'll apologize to opposing players on the field and just be super nice and sweet and cute, but then he'll hit a fucking ball 470 and punch you out with 100 miles an hour.
It's like, honestly, it's like in jiu-jitsu, you're wrestling with your professor who's probably 155 pounds, just this little fucking, and you have no idea how you've ended up in the physical position you're in, but the entire time he's talking to you, he's like befriending you, making plans with you for the weekend, and you're struggling for air. You have no idea how you're even going to take your next breath. And he's like, yeah, man. So I figure, some beers, you like some beers, we do some salmon, it's, it's just a completely different fucking level.
It is insane. I'm going to pose a question to Jay, and we're going to get to the answer of that question on the other side of me talking about a little bit of Blue Moon here. But that question is, Justin Havens, of the entire tournament to this point, what singular moment popped you the most as a fan? What moment made you feel something the most as a baseball fan? But first, spring training's here, which means that baseball is finally back, and Blue Moon gives you a dose of ballpark nostalgia to get you excited for the baseball season. In fact, Blue Moon was born in a ballpark at the Sandlot Brewery in Denver, Colorado. Its bold flavor, bright explosion of color, and iconic orange slice ritual guarantees a one-of-a-kind beer experience perfect for the spring weather. My fridge right now is full of Blue Moons because we've got the World Baseball Classic Championship game tonight between the United States of America and the nation of Japan. Plenty of Blue Moons will be consumed throughout the duration of this epic showdown that we're about to embark on. From its refreshing flavor with Valencia orange peel for a subtle sweetness and hints of coriander, Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale is a one-of-a-kind beer that's made brighter. It's carefully crafted and full-flavored with refreshing notes and a smooth, creamy finish. Why strike out with the same old beer when you can get something that's one of a kind? Best served with a signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful hazy color. A beer this good only comes around once in a Blue Moon, but you can enjoy it all season long. Bring the ballpark to you for spring training. Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale is one of a kind every time. Get Blue Moon delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket to see your delivery options. That is get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado Ale. Justin Havens, is the answer to your question, my question to you, is it the Trey Turner Grand Slam, or is it something different?
So I think I would ultimately have to go with the Trey Turner Grand Slam. I was close with how it played out last night, but and the reason it's the Trey Turner Grand Slam is, obviously it was a big point in the game, down 0-2. Felt like things, I know there were no outs in the inning, but it felt like things might be getting a little bit out of reach. But most importantly, it changed forever what the conversation about the WBC will be in this country coming off of this tournament, because I feel like had that Grand Slam not been hit, had the U.S. gone on to lose that game, then what we would have been left with in the WBC, at least in a lot of corners, was a combination of the U.S. disappointed, the injuries that occurred during the WBC, obviously Altuve on top of the Diaz thing, and then, kind of the complaints about Mark DeRosa's managing, some of the incongruities that existed within the U.S. roster and usage and stuff like that. And now none of that are really talking points anymore. And the only thing that people are talking about is that it's a success, which we've spent most of this podcast talking about, and the fact that we've now arrived at the championship game that I think most people would have chosen if they've got any matchup to start the tournament. So that to me is the biggest. That might seem a little U.S. centric, but to me, I think for the conversation, for the quality of the conversation, both now and moving forward, I think that was a massive moment.
I think that your point about how we were dangerously close from taking a left, but we took a right in terms of how the entire tournament is perceived in this country, at least just in the United States.
Is that an indictment though on our fans?
The Mets fans.
When you think about that, because all of that is centered around the success of our team, right? So if Trey Turner doesn't hit the granny, we don't win that game. Essentially, everything we care about goes away. And now it's all easier to blame the WBC for not being cool. Why? Well, because the injuries. Look, Altuve got hurt. Edwin Diaz got hurt. Mark DeRosa can't manage. Our team sucks because players won't show up. What do you expect? We're never going to win this fucking thing. And it's like you put all that together, and now it's easy for us to not care about this thing at all. And it's easy to go, it's not that big of a deal.
It's now about how do we tweak this moving forward so it's the best possible tournament that can be, both inside and outside of this country, and not something that gets kind of pushed. All the negative has been, I consider those non-serious conversations now. That's where they've been relegated, and I don't think anything that can happen in the finals can change that.
No, but I think they would have been serious conversations, because should that have gone that way and Trey Turner doesn't hit the home run, now what do? Are we going to allow Mark DeRosa to get skewered because of some perceived lack of managerial tact? Or are we going to be able to defend the idea that his hands are tied to an extent and he's handcuffed to an extent, and how difficult it is to manage a team under those circumstances? Yeah. Because it's a viable argument to have against DeRosa, and it's a viable defense to pose in the face of that argument that he's been managing handcuffed.
It's absolutely viable.
If things go that way,
it's viable, and it's a fine conversation to have. All I'm saying is that it's not what's going to stick with us from this tournament. It is
no, absolutely no, for sure not. Yeah, no,
a side discussion.
I'm saying I think that would be the focal point, or at least I would hope it would be the focal point should things have not have worked out, as opposed to just going, it sucks, things didn't work out, he can't manage, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. There's layers to this. It's not that he can't manage. Do you understand what the fuck's going on here? What he had to deal with?
That's why that would almost be like something, not a good outcome, but like the way I see it is like the World Baseball Classic is just like inevitable. Like, it's just going to keep growing. And like the younger generations love it more than the older people, obviously.
Yep.
And it's like, if USA got knocked out because of DeRosa and it wasn't really his fault, and just the teams being like, no, you can't play this many innings. And it was like, you can't, like, we're not trying hard enough. We could win this, but we're not trying. Like, that would be the conversation, which I think would be productive. Because a lot of these players who aren't playing in the US would probably play if Americans were more like, motherfucker, why aren't you playing, you piece of shit? Which is something that I was on early, We were saying
you are, Joe. You are. You're leading that charge.
So like, I think that's also like kind of a productive mindset to be in. Like USA getting embarrassed, I think either way, like this ends with more players playing and it becoming bigger and bigger over time. If USA disappoints, it's going to be more pressure on the players to play. If they fucking win and they're heroes, then it's like, then players are going to be like, well, I want to play. I think it's just inevitable. But it was scary there when fucking Edwin Diaz went down and everyone, all these Mets fuckers started talking shit. All right. And then while that was going on, USA's losing to Colombia 2-1. Like that was like a depressing 2 hours where it's like, what is going on here? Like this is a disaster. It's crazy how far we come from that, which was like a week ago. As dark as it got with that Edwin Diaz injury, all those freaking loud mouths talking shit, I think the World Baseball Classic is kind of just a train of momentum that can't be stopped. Like if USA underperforms, if enough people, I think enough people care, where that's going to put pressure on them to play more players and, you know, try and not treat it as an exhibition. And if they succeed, then players are going to want to play just because it's amazing. But just like how amazing it is, regardless, I think it's just going to keep growing. Like 20 years from now, I imagine where it's going to be.
There's no reason that this can't be, and in my opinion, isn't already taking on a small form of a version of the World Cup.
Yeah.
If you're a baseball fan, there's no other arena even close to giving you the international vibe that you get every 4 years when the World Cup comes along. Because if you're listening to this right now, I promise you at times every 4 years become a casual ass soccer fan too, right?
Yeah.
And you're watching it, you're at the bar, you're whatever, but you're there because it's a vibe. And now you're a baseball fan who really cares about this game that is being rallied around sort of, and is now picking up international steam. So yeah, there's no reason for this to take a dip in attraction level, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't think long term it's possible because like Jared bringing up those Twitter numbers where it's like the clips are blowing out World Series, like blowing them out of the fucking water. But if you check like TV ratings in America, like the World Series, like 10x's WBC so far. Because to me, that means it's like generational. Like older people, like they didn't grow up with the World Baseball Classic. They don't really care as much. But people online and Twitter and shit, like I can tell from like my interactions, my YouTube channel, my numbers, it's like even leading up to the tournament, it's way up. It's way more important to younger people. Like in 20 years from now, like the kids watching this year, like it's just going to be like, that's going to be it. World Baseball Classic. Obviously, it's like as important as playoffs or a regular season.
Well, and I think the metrics, right, and how we measure how this stuff is consumed is ever changing. So while the Nielsen ratings are paramount in the world of television, impressions and views and the likes and all of the other engagement analytics are what are driving the younger generations. And that's how value is assessed on those fronts. So however you look at it, the game is in a really good spot because the older folks who don't want to budge, who have dug their heels in, as heartless as it might sound, they're going to die off, but they're never going to die off not having been a baseball fan. The younger fans or even the older fans who are adapting to the way the game is growing and moving, well, they're going to embrace the game even more. And the younger fans are going to have children who are going to embrace the game the way that they have, and so on and so forth. So it's a cycle, but picking up steam, massive amounts of steam.
Yeah, I think my hope, and I think is like in the future, and we spent this whole episode, like a lot of it talking about like how good this is for the game. But like, I think in the future where we should be, where I think it's going to be, where it's like leading up to this tournament, just rosters being announced, who's playing, who's not, is going to be a story. Like where it's like, who cares the ratings really? Like we just want to know, why are we going to win? Who's playing? Who's going to pitch this day? Like we're dissecting it from a game to game basis, other than being like how amazing this is because of the health, where it's like, obviously it's healthy for the game because it's the World Baseball Classic.
Well, this is, you could do it. You could do an entire show. Like, I mean, it's not that I don't want to say this right now, but like, I've got ideas for how you could do this, how you could present this to the world. And there's just such a way that you could package this that would have people excited. And a lot of it is in the same vein as the draft, right? Something I was thinking about, though, is we all noticed that this entire tournament has been played under quote unquote old rules with no clocks and regular sized bases and everything that's not happening in baseball right now. The shift is allowed, mound meetings, blah, blah, like all of it, right? And baseball is being chewed up and consumed at the greatest rate in this venue that it ever has.
That's why, like, I think that you should just ditch it for the playoffs. Like, I'm not like I am team pitch clock. I don't know if you saw Evan Drellick had an article.
But now you're playing two completely different games, though, Jared. Completely different games.
Like, yes and no, but
what do you mean yes, no? Yes.
And
one,
no,
I have time limit on what I can do. One, I don't. That's a fucking very different game.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it's still baseball.
Shifting.
I think
strategically placing my defenders.
Evan Drellick had the column from The Athletic, and he said it wasn't immediately known what specific changes were discussed, but if any are made, they're not expected to be major. And this is about the rule changes being, I guess, tweaked. So this is from the article. He says, but there have been some rough moments too, and players and the union have continued to express various concerns publicly and privately. Among them, that the 15-second pitch timer is too constricting with no one on base. That hitters should get slightly more time and shouldn't need to be in the box and, quote, alert to the pitcher with 8 seconds left on the timer. That players who are involved in a defensive play to end one half inning should get extra time if they are leading off the next half inning. And then finally, that hitters should be allowed more than one timeout per plate appearance. I don't think that's not a huge ask. I think that, as someone that is pro pitch clock, I think that they could give them, 20 seconds. I don't think that that's crazy. He did have the stats in there about how much time they actually have shaved off based on the major league average and what the average in spring training games were. And it's like pretty drastic. Like, I think like if you start tampering with the rules and stuff when they're not doing that big of a difference anyway, but okay, here it is. Spring training games have had their share of positive. Game times have dropped an average of 25 minutes at 2 hours and 36 minutes through play on Sunday, compared to the average time of 3 hours and 1 minute through all spring training games in 2022. So, I mean, you're knocking off a whole half hour, which is that's a Netflix episode before bed that you're not getting to watch before.
That was the consensus in the minor leagues. That's what they saw play out. That's what has played out at this level. So, I mean, that's why, like, you just can't say that it's not playing the game under two different sets of rules. That was the whole conversation when you were just playing with a DH in one city and no DH in another. Like, that's a different game. And we understand the different strategies and the different advantages or disadvantages that could present to a club, just like a clock could. So I like, that's always been my gripe is let's play this game the same way. Why the fuck why are we changing the rules at the most important time of the season?
I think the answer is very clear. During the regular season, I think it's great. You're speeding the game along, you're shaving off 25 minutes. That's awesome. We're playing 162 of these fucking things. Yes, they mean a lot, but let's keep it moving. During the playoffs, when you have it's almost an entertainment thing more so than a logistical thing. It's like you're giving it time to breathe. You're building up suspense, which I think is one of baseball's greatest things, is in these big games and these playoff games, when you have time for the moment to breathe and to build up that suspense and energy. That's one of the coolest parts about it. So I don't know if that's what they'll ultimately arrive on, is we're going to ditch the pitch clock for the playoffs or whatever. They ditched the ghost runner for the playoffs. So it's not like the precedent hasn't been set that we have a set of rules for the regular season. We have a set of rules for the playoffs. They've already told us that they can do that. But I guess we'll see how they approach it. I just I feel like
that's where purists are up in arms and get pissed off. And because you understand, like, we went from playing the game under 2 sets of rules to trying to play the game under 1 set of rules to back to playing it under multiple sets of rules. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I cannot see a scenario where we watch like what we watched last night in that, the bottom of the 9th, and then be like, well, fuck, that sucked. If there was like 6 more seconds before, that would have been awesome. But like, it took,
or say it's strike 3 instead of the double.
But like, when I don't think the pitch clock is going to ruin suspense at all.
No, but everybody's saying, like, everybody's gripe is, well, like I just said, so instead of hitting the double to win the game, he gets called out because he's not engaged with the pitcher.
Oh, fuck, if that happens every single game in the playoffs, then yeah, maybe you need to fucking extend the limit. Yeah, I will see if that happens. Though.
And this just goes back to what I was saying, though, with the clock is you're trying to train people, and you've been training the human beings at the minor league level. So you're training this group so that when they make their way to the big league level, they're used to it. Now you've got to train the big leaguers as well. So they've invested the time to train the younger fellas who are going to come up and comprise this league. Now they've got to train the current league because it's time. And the expectation is that they will adjust. And for better or worse, they've done that. It's just a matter of how you want the big moments to play out. And I think what hurts baseball is you have the hindsight. You can look back and see what a big moment looks like without a clock, and then you know what it looks like when it ends because of the clock. And we know which one we'd rather experience. So we're almost at an impasse with, like, well, we need to speed it up, and this is just a byproduct of doing that. But when the games really matter, and then teams are like, hold on, the game in June really fucking matters. The series in July really matters. No, it doesn't. That's what the rules kind of tell us. It kind of doesn't. It doesn't matter as much as this does. It's like, oh, okay, is that where we're at? We just have to accept that now.
I just placed a wager on the DraftKings Sportsbook for America to win. I have wagered $1,776 on the United States.
Oh, did you?
To win tonight.
That's a bigger bet than the other one you showed us.
No, I actually, what did I bet? $10,000 on the Cleveland Guardians to win the division?
Well, no, not that bet.
What bet? What bet?
Well, there's another bet. There's another bet we got a picture of, isn't there?
The Red Sox to make the playoffs?
No, that's not that one.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
I mean, do you want to be the one to tell the people, or do I have to be the one to tell the people?
I mean, you're just as wrapped up in this controversy as I am.
Well, no, because I haven't made
You know who else is wrapped up in this controversy? Not to name names. A former. I don't know. Was he a former teammate of yours? Is might have been. I think he's played for both of our organizations. That he's also wrapped up in this controversy.
Is he a model American, Jared?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we were teammates, yes.
Yeah.
But see, like, no, buddy, like I have yet to make my financial commitment to a country.
Oh,
you, however, let's just say Jared's looking for dual citizenship.
That's not true. Well, it might be. Like I said, like if someone came up to you.
If you were watching this in Japan, you would have a bet slip you could show people. But since you're watching this in America, you have a bet slip that you can show people.
Right. But if someone came up to you and said, Dallas, there's a place where baseball is king. It's all anyone cares about. They're super passionate about it. when there's a big game on, almost every single TV in every household stops what they're doing. And they watch baseball and they all love it and they're passionate about it. And not only that, they're respectful. Like if the best player on the team hits a home run, they take the baseball and they pass it around the stand so everyone can get a picture with it. And then they give it back to its rightful owner. It is a baseball haven. And I can tell you, Dallas, that place exists.
That place is called Stockton Domingo. That's
that place,
sister city of Saugus Domingo.
That place is called Tokyo, Japan. And you can go there.
Fucking been there, bud, multiple times.
Fucking been there.
Yeah. Well,
what the fuck are you guys talking about? I have no idea what that was about. There's a bet?
It's above your pay grade.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe some listeners are going to be on my side on this one. Like, what the fuck just happened?
I mean, no. I mean, if you just pay attention, Joe, it's right there for you.
I'm trying, man. It's hard,
right,
man.
You're just not doing the homework. I mean, it's there for you. It's there for Jay. It's there for Jake.
I guess I'm the only one. I don't know. You guys are Duolingo guys. I don't know. I don't only know one language.
No. So, I mean, where is your financial commitment, Jay? As you will wager responsibly today, who do those greenbacks fall on?
It's possible the die has already been cast on this.
Oh,
and that it's our good friends from the East.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Sugoi!
Sugoi!
Are you saying that you saw the Rob Manfred script, Jay? You've seen it?
Well, hey, remember Jay's part of the. He's a former member of the script writers.
Former.
Yeah.
I think they take extra caution to make sure that the former ones don't get the new material, though.
That's all right. That's strong. What about you, Joe? Where I mean, I hate to put you on the spot, but as you soak up this WBC Championship game today, and you wager responsibly on the DraftKings Sportsbook, where is that hard-earned, American-made money going?
I'm going for the upset. America's going to win in an upset.
Let's
upset their
4-3,
favorite,
but they shouldn't be, dude.
But they shouldn't be right now.
I think Japan's the better team. I honestly do.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that.
But
plus 110 for Japan, minus 130 for Team USA.
Yeah, but yeah, I think America's lineup is just too fucking beefy, dude. Like who's
that lineup? That lineup absolutely plows.
Plows.
Yeah. Yeah, America minus 130.
You like that?
I mean, I do. I mean, I think there could be. I think there might be value in that Japan minus one. I mean,
you're undercover Japanese baseball diehard.
Oh man, we got any props? We got any sexy props?
I got a prop. Is Shohei gonna pitch tonight?
Yes, because how many days has it been since he's pitched? Let's do that math real quick.
I think it's 4. I think it's
4?
4. I think it's 4.
So if Japan is winning, yes, Shohei pitches. And so the prop is the punch out for sure.
It's just gonna be
weird.
The
game?
How is that? How weird is that?
For the Stars and Stripes.
Merrill Kelly, baby.
Merrill Kelly, that's right.
Ooh. How is Shohei gonna DH? Let's say so this guy's struggling. We need a reliever coming in. Get Shohei warmed up, but he's coming up second next inning. You say like, can't you see that could be a big problem? If
They'll just lose the DH and start moving guys in and out as needed.
Can you take him out as a DH and say, well, okay, he's not hitting anymore? He's got to warm up.
What? No, you lose the DH. So now your pitcher has to hit for himself. And so instead of your pitcher hitting for himself, you start rolling your bench out.
There's no way that's legal, dude. You can't take Shohei out of DH and then be like, pitcher's hitting for DH now. But Shohei is the pitcher. So we took out Shohei to DH. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you're telling me that Shohei is in the lineup as the designated hitter, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then say in the 7th inning, or no, say in the 5th inning, you want him to now pitch. So he can enter the game and he can pitch for himself as the DH.
Yeah.
From there, when you sub a guy in to pitch, that individual would have to hit for themselves.
Yeah.
So when their spot in the lineup comes up, instead of them hitting for themselves, you would then just roll out a bench player, have them pinch hit, and then sub in a pitcher. And then the next time his spot in the lineup comes up, you do that same thing.
So he can't hit after he comes in a pitch?
Yeah, he absolutely could.
Okay,
because he's DHing. There's no confusion.
There's none to be had. What I'm confused. What I'm saying is like, what if he has to warm up and he has to throw X amount of pitches to get warmed up, but he's like has to hit that inning? So like, how is he going to warm up and hit?
He's not going to. No, it's not like if he's on deck, right? Like he's hitting second this inning. No, it's hey, Shohei is going to hit, and let's say he gets out, which would be realistically ideal for them, or ideally a homer. So he could round the bases, come back in, start to play catch. Or if he gets out, then he comes back in, starts to play catch. What would really suck is if he hit a double and then got stranded and the inning ended with him standing on second base.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be crazy. He's going to be warming up with a helmet on.
So they're going to have to pick their spot there. But that could, the contingency is, hey, if Shohei hits this inning, your ass is in the ball game.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, why don't they just start him? Because that just seems like, if you're worried about injury risk, I'd be more worried about it warming up Shohei and then have to stop warming up and then hit and then come back and he didn't warm up
because he's not going to because he's not going to be able to, because what you want him to start and DH for himself, but then you're going to get 2 at bats for him based on his outings maybe, or his innings that he's allowed to go.
Okay. But don't they have the Shohei rule? When he gets out of pitching, he can still hit?
That's in Major League Baseball. I don't think that's in the WBC.
Well, whoever came up with that is a fucking idiot.
But I can't be.
I mean, the tournament is the Shohei tournament. Let's be honest. You're gonna
the Shohei Showcase.
You're gonna get rid of the Shohei rule for the Shohei Showcase, and that's what I'm saying. Now I think maybe Manfred did write USA in the script, knowing that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. Final score predictions.
7-2.
6-4.
6-4 who?
Is that a fucking serious question?
9-1.
9-1.
It's a fucking boat race, huh, Jay?
Yeah, in favor of Japan.
Damn.
9-1.
Yeah, it's one of those predictions where if it's right, I get to be all super smart, and if I'm wrong, then you guys can celebrate. So it's a good setup for me.
Jay don't give a fuck.
Yeah. No, it's 6-4. Stars and Stripes. Let's go.
A lot riding on Merrill Kelly's shoulders.
That's right. It's all right. We got a lot of boys down there who are ready to get fucking outs, and they're looking at that lineup saying, you know what? These guys are great in Japan.
You said we had a lot of people ready to get outs, or just
here
1 or 2?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No, we have a roster full of pitchers ready to get outs, full of out getters. Jay,
we got Devin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
He's ready.
Airbender.
We got fucking Presley. He's ready. What more do you need?
Guys that have been built in the championship blood, Jay. That's right.
Speechless.
United States. 7-6
Wow.
in a nail biter. United States 7-6.
Mike Trout MVP.
Shohei Ohtani
It's
hit.
got to be Trey Turner. Isn't it about like is it like the MVP of the game or like the from the does the semifinals count?
I don't know. Do they even do an MVP of the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
The go-ahead runs will be on a Shohei liner that gets over Mike Trout's head.
Oof.
Wow. Well, how many bombs does Trey Turner have? 2?
4.
4.
Did he hit 3 in 24
Oh,
hours?
that's right. Fuck. Yeah, I mean, if it's collective, then yeah, it's absolutely Trey Turner. Look out for that Mookie to Mike 1-2, though. That Mookie to Mike 1-2 is something ferocious. Ferocious.
All right.
Yeah,
Tonight's the night. We appreciate you guys listening. It's been a fun tournament. It's been a nice little break from boring ass spring training baseball to be able to bring to you some World Baseball Classic coverage here on Baseball is Dead. Next week, it's back to Major League Baseball, but we'll know who won tonight. We'll know what the numbers are. Is it the most watched baseball game in the history of the sport? I don't know. We'll find out. Who will be the World Baseball Classic champion between Japan and the United States? Don't know. We'll find out. We'll break it all down on the next episode of Baseball's Dead.
Wow.
Vamos! Baseball!